Hello, my name is Sterling Simpson, and today I would like to be going over with you the very common question: is graffiti considered an art or vandalism? And to dive into this debate, I think one should be familiar with the definition of the word vandalism. So, the definition of the word vandalism is an action involving deliberate destruction of or damage to public or private property. Now, this is where the kind of trickiness comes into this situation, because graffiti art, is that defacing? Plastering a piece of art upon a wall, is that the same as destroying it? Now, I and many others would believe not, but that's a very common debate right now. And depending on what part of the globe you're in, you can be persecuted for doing your art. So I'm going to go over one very famous street artist who is one of my personal favorites, by the name of Banksy. Banksy is a very complex character, or characters. There's never been a face put to Banksy. Banksy could be one person. Banksy could be many people. The only thing that is for sure on Banksy is that they are English, and that they are a street artist who often in his art depicts the complexities of homelessness and depravity, consumerism, and goes over these very complex themes and imagery, very political. And in England, Banksy is kind of seen as a national treasure. If Banksy puts his art on a wall, they sell the wall for billions of dollars. And one of my favorite acts of Banksy was that he actually did a very famous painting that went over to an auction that they were going to sell for somewhere close to $1 million. And as soon as they took the painting off of the wall, it actually shredded into pieces. And the funny thing with that is that that piece of art actually tripled in price just because of that. And I think that that's the beauty of graffiti, is that it's kind of born out of this angst, and it's born out of this sludge. And it one good article states, it's talking about art itself, it says, "Art ceases to be art without freedom of expression, and perhaps graffiti exercises this right more than any other medium, taking creativity to the streets means that the artist doesn't need to worry about gallery curators, critics, or potential buyers, and can therefore be completely unrestrained and even anonymous if they choose to do so." I think that that's a very good quote, and I think that sums up mine and many others' appeal of graffiti art. I'd like to read you a couple more great quotes. Vans.com stated that an important distinction needs to be made between graffiti and street art. There are key differences between the two, and a paradox between the way each is treated in the modern era. While both fluidly relate to art on the street, says Harvey, pointing out that it's only since the birth of advertising that it has become illegal to graffiti in public. To break this down to someone who's not quite familiar with graffiti art, graffiti itself is a broad term, and this can go anywhere from what they were talking street art, which would be kind of Banksy's class of, making these big elaborate social pieces of art, versus what they call taggers. And that's where kind of this debate gets a little bit tricky, just spraying some numbers or one's name to kind of mark their territory, as you will. But I'm going to read a couple of other good quotes. TempleNews.com stated, this is about Banksy: "Banksy is able to communicate his thoughts to the public without anyone's approval. This is what makes graffiti an incomparable powerful kind of art. And I agree with this one all the way. I think that's what mine and a lot of other people's appeal to Banksy is. Very, very good artist if you're not familiar with it. And one last quote from the WGNTC.com. It is stated that Chicago street art can turn the mundane into bold, bright masterpieces. Murals brighten areas all across the city. And then there's graffiti that is considered illegal when painted without consent. And I think that that's where the issue really lies. I would like to end my speech with one of my favorite quotes on graffiti by Banksy himself when someone asked him to define graffiti. His response was that graffiti is one of the few tools you have if you have almost nothing. And even if you don't come up with a picture to cure world poverty, you can make someone smile while they're having a piss. Thank you.